Bryan Johnson announced he has a girlfriend. Bryan Johnson is the world famous biohacker. He's been taking like blood transfusions from his son, gives us updates on the strength of his erections. You know the guy, this guy. Dude, if you don't know who Bryan Johnson is, are you even living life to the fullest? This is the anti-aging guru, okay? He uses his own son as a blood boy. Where have you been? He's a vampire. He's a meme because stress is what kills you, right? So a guy just living on the beach in the sun drinking wine is going to live to 105, eating cheese and drinking wine, whereas Bryan Johnson, for all his biohacking $1 million protocol, is probably just going to die at like 95, despite spending like hundreds of millions of dollars trying not to die. He has a girlfriend, and he wrote a mucho texto post. He made a mood board, a vision board of their life showing how much they love each other and shit like this. Okay, great. I did a joke tweet, quote tweet of this. I said, "Ho inflation is so bad that billionaires are bragging about having girlfriends." Now, this tweet is way too long to read. He gushes over her basically. She's perfect, blah, blah, blah. The most important part is the timeline, because as I said in the title, we're going to expose this guy's web of deceit. We're going to expose this guy as a liar by showing problems in the timeline. Okay, so they like co-funded this company together. He talks about that and how he like had a crush on her for a long time. He gets to this part. Unable to withstand any longer after a year and a half of unspoken affection, one night I softly floated the balloon of inquiry. She confirmed it was reciprocal. Still, with things being so new, neither of us wanted to make our relationship public. We needed time to stabilize, mature, and assess whether this was short or long term. I'm a 48-year-old American, raised Mormon with 3 children. She's a 30-year-old Bosnian Australian American. Took time to bridge our worlds. In our years of knowing each other, 3 of them have been navigating a relationship, all while building a business and movement. There have been many times where we didn't know if we'd make it. In the last year, we found our flow. I trust Kate as much as my mother, blah, blah. So basically, they've been together for 3 years, right? In our years of knowing each other, 3 of them have been navigating a relationship, but the first couple years were sort of rocky, so they kept it private. Then the last year has been really good, so they decided to finally make it public, right? That's the story. Everybody's so happy for them. Congratulations. This is the single most anti-aging move in your entire protocol. What a glow up. You know, congratulations, great news. Quasar Coon says, you have billions and you went with a weak 6. Not everybody's super nice about it. Congrats, you look great together. Congrats on the sex. That's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them. Wholesome congrats. Okay, so that's it, right? That's the story. Not so fast. Not so fast, because we have exposed here a clip from 7 months ago from a podcast where his new girlfriend, Kate Tolo, talking about being in a long-term 7-year relationship.
I don't know if you're in a relationship, but how do you feel about, are you in a relationship or not?
Yeah, I am.
You
I don't
Okay.
talk about it publicly because my partner, long-term partner, been together for approaching 7 years.
So he's been through your change.
Yes. In fact, we met in New York. So it's like,
Wow.
really seen it all. But yeah, he's a very private person.
Yeah.
He's just someone who like does not enjoy the spotlight. And so that's why I don't talk about him much.
Have you influenced his health routines?
So he's someone that thinks about something a lot.
So let's just pause for a second, take in what we have here so far. She says she's been in a committed relationship for almost 7 years. She also says the guy is super private, doesn't like the spotlight. So does that sound like Bryan? It doesn't, obviously. Bryan tells us about his boners. He's the least private dude on Twitter. There's 2 possibilities here. One is that she is talking about Bryan, and the other is that she's talking about some other guy. Nobody seems to really know what's going on, because that's what happens with liars, is you end up not knowing what's real when stories don't match up. You just know something's not true. But you can look at it both ways, and they're both really bad. Let's look at the two options. The first is that she's talking about Bryan Johnson here. And so for that to be true, we have to ignore the fact that she's saying he is a very private person when he clearly isn't. But Bryan Johnson, less than 7 years ago, was still engaged to another woman. He had a fiance. His fiance got cancer and he left her, which he was heavily criticized for as leaving her because she got cancer. She sued him for emotional distress and breach of contract. She sued him basically for leaving him because she got cancer. They settled out of court. The terms of the settlement are not known, so we shouldn't speculate too much, but presumably gave her several $million because he left her for getting cancer when he was engaged to her. If he was banging this chick who was like his glorified secretary, they were co-founders of the bio company. If he was banging her at the time, that means he was banging his coworker while he was engaged to another woman who had cancer. So you could see why, if that's the case, he would want to lie about it, because he's already been heavily criticized for leaving his fiance because she got sick. Also banging some young chick who's like 20 years younger than him while she's in the hospital fighting cancer. That looks kind of even worse. So if that's what happened, you can see how they maybe were like, we need to keep this hush hush until enough years went by. And then they said, okay, we'll announce it publicly now, but we'll say it's only been 3 years, not 7. So that all makes sense, but it exposes these guys as a liar. And a lot of people will make excuses for this. They say, well, it's their private lives. You know, they just want privacy. Who cares if they fudged the numbers? And it's like, okay, but these guys run companies. Like, are you going to buy their pharmaceutical products when they lie to you about their personal lives? I wouldn't. I don't trust liars. I think it actually matters a lot when you catch people lying. I think it says a lot about them, and it says that you cannot trust them. You think people are going to lie about their intimate lives, but they're not going to lie about the products they're trying to sell you? Is that what you think? The other option is that, and this is maybe the less unsavory one, is that she was dating some other guy. She was in a long-term committed relationship to him, and maybe it was like a polyamorous type of thing. Maybe he knew about that. That's like somehow the less worse option, is that he was just like sitting in the cuck chair, letting her bang another dude for years at the start of the relationship. Let's see what else she has to say.
And he was like me, where we had really bad health habits. We were eating McDonald's together. He would eat ramen all the time out of like those like plastic thick cups. And it made it really hard sometimes to have shared experiences when I was transitioning into this more healthy days. He's just finally been like 180 and like gone full health.
Wow.
And he's doing.
Okay, keep in mind, this podcast was released 7 months ago. She's talking about a guy, she's in a long-term relationship. He's very private. He doesn't like the spotlight, and he just got healthy. Bryan Johnson began his public protocol for longevity, his Project fucking Blue Chip or whatever it's called, Project Blueprint, Project Bluebeam. He started it in 2021. He started it 4 years ago. He started taking like blood transfusions from his son and shit like that. But I'm supposed to believe he just decided to get healthy in the past year.
How does it?
Now, it's also worth noting this podcast is called The First Woman to Follow Bryan Johnson's 2 million Anti-Aging Blueprint, Why Kate Tolo is Different. So think about this for a second. The podcast is about Bryan Johnson has a $2 million a year anti-aging protocol. She starts following his protocol, no doubt paid for by him, by the way. Well, the first woman that he decided to pay for to do this. And she's on a podcast to talk about it. But she's in a relationship with him, and then she says, oh, I'm in a relationship with this guy, but he doesn't care about his health. If she's talking about Bryan, it's so dishonest. Like, the whole podcast is like a lie, because the whole concept is you decided to start following this guy's health protocol. So it's more likely that she's talking about a different dude. dude, but the way people are coping about this in my replies on Twitter, they went from, oh, Bryan Johnson didn't claim to be in a relationship for 3 years, so she broke up with that guy maybe 7 months ago, right? Maybe immediately after this podcast, they broke up the next day. And then a few months went by and then Bryan started dating her and there's nothing weird at all about it. And it's like, well, no, that didn't happen because he said they've been together for 3 years. And then everybody started saying, no, she's talking about Bryan in the video. And it's like, okay, well, she's super dishonest. If she's talking about Bryan, there's like 7 different lies here that she's caught in. And in addition to all the lying, he was cheating on his sick fiance, which is a very bad look for him.
Amazing. Like, I struggled so much to make that transition because he thought about it for so long before making he just like slipped into it and was like, all good. And so now he's prioritizing health, which in turn makes my life way easier. It was manageable always, like having the different lifestyles, but like now it's fun because we get to be like optimizing things together.
So nobody knows what the fuck is actually going on. Nobody actually knows, is she talking about Bryan or somebody else? My tweet has 600,000 views. So I kind of like thought they're going to be going on 700K. Like they're going to have to come clean. I've exposed them, but I don't think they've said anything yet. People want to know. People want an explanation. What's going on? Finally, some drama. 40-year-old biohacker dudes. Anyway, I could go on to like how retarded people are in my replies. Maybe I'll just touch on this really quickly. This is just me venting about how stupid people are. Look at this. 7 months is a long time. Y'all need to really go outside. I said, but according to Bryan, they've been in a relationship for 3 years, to which he replies, why do you even care? People like to do this thing where they're like, dude, touch grass. And then when you show them something that proves that there actually is an issue, then they're just like, why do you care? Well, because it's fucked up, because somebody's lying. This guy said, dude, that's false. He said they had a professional relationship at first. So I highlight from the tweet, in our years of knowing each other, 3 of them have been navigating a relationship. Multiple people are calling me retarded because this clearly doesn't mean a romantic relationship according to them. Look at this. Yeah, their friendly work relationship. Later in his post, he insinuates only this year have they had an official intimate relationship, which is not true. It's right here. In the last year, we found our flow. But it starts up here before this part that I highlighted. He says, I hit on her. She reciprocated. Then he says, with things being so new, neither of us wanted to make our relationship public. They were co-founders. They weren't keeping that secret. They were keeping it secret that they were boning. That's the relationship that wasn't public. So up here, I hit on her. I got laid. It took time. We worked on it. And then in our years of knowing each other, 3 of them have been navigating a relationship. Pretty obvious, right? He's talking about 3 years of dating. Pretty fucking obvious. Their friendly work relationship. I said, you're an idiot. This guy says, no, where in his post does he imply they've been romantic for years? Only that they've known each other for years and had a close relationship with both harbored some feelings towards one another unbeknownst to each other. She probably dumped her boyfriend to be with him. Pretty normal. I'm like, dude, it's right here. Relationship public. It would be extremely fucking retarded writing if he was talking about navigating a work relationship at this point in the paragraph. It would make no sense at all. And then for some reason, me showing them that, he pivots to, no, they've been dating for 7 years. And that's funny for some reason. By this tweet, you're admitting that they're lying and somehow I'm the dumb one. And then this guy goes screen capping this so he can't walk it back when he's proven wrong, right? Oh, look at, he's got the screen cap of me calling this guy an idiot. So I know it's really boring when I complain about how fucking stupid people are, but I have to talk to somebody who's smart enough to understand, okay? That's what I need you guys for. I could draw this guy a fucking diagram and it would never click. He would never understand that he has the reading comprehension of a fucking slug. These slugs. Look around. I'm surrounded by slugs. How long has Bryan Johnson been clapping Kate Toto's cheeks?
About 1.5 years.
You're so fucking stupid, Grok. How would you get a 1.5 years? Explain to me from his post how you deduced that it's been a year and a half.
Dude, my bad. I jumped the gun on that early 2024 timeline. Bryan's post from a couple days ago spells it out. He says they've been together 3 years now, straight up calling her his Abigail, after John Adams' wife.
According to his own timeline, they've known each other about 5 years. It's like he said, a year and a half of crushing on her, followed by 3 years of dating, 2 of which were uncertain, 1 of which has been solid, and now they publicly announced it, which it seems extremely unlikely that she could be talking about him in the podcast from 7 months ago. She hasn't known him 7 years. He's not an extremely private guy, and he's been a health freak for 4 solid years. So it just seems extremely unlikely that she was talking about him, but people want answers. Anyway, God,
Relationship.
Grok pisses me off, man. Grok is as dumb as these people I'm replying to on Twitter. Can we get an AI that could qualify for Mensa? Is that too much to ask?
We're hoping